One of the most difficult aspects of setting up a paper in APA format is figuring out how to create the title page and how to separate out the format from the title page into the body of the paper. That becomes really complicated to navigate. So what I've done here is I've pulled up just a couple of pages from a former student project from one of my tech students. So don't pay attention as much as how he's done things internally. This is very different with figures and that kind of thing. But what I want to do is use what I have here just to show you how to insert that title page and how to set all that content up. So you've started your paper, and the first thing that you want to make sure you do is that you have all of your margins set to double space, or your margin set to 1 inch rather. And so we go to margins, make sure everything's at 1 inch all the way around. Oftentimes Word will default to 1.5, 1.5 inches on your right and left. You don't want that. But you also want to ensure that your work is double spaced. I know that there are lots of tricks in here, but I like to go in personally because I choose double. You need to check how these things are set up. Make sure it says 0 before and after in your spacing with your double. Otherwise, Word defaults to 1.5 and it gives you extra space after that you don't want. So we're going to put those in. There it is. Now it's all set up to double space. So let's pretend that the body of the paper is done, and now what we have to do is create the title page. Well, I'm going to take everything and put it in Times New Roman in 12 because that's what APA prefers. So we've done that. So now you'll see all that's in the correct font and size. So go to the top of your page, and of course your paragraph should always be indented. One tab over. Tab is generally set to default, so you can use your ruler and you can make sure you can see those things. If you haven't watched the tutorial on hanging indents, you definitely want to. It walks you through how to use this ruler. So you'll see there it is. I'll put the indents in. Now, this gets a little complicated. So the first thing that we're going to do is kind of go forward in order to go backward. I showed you in the last tutorial how to insert your page numbers and your running heads, top of the page here. So I'm going to say relationships and online dating, so that the body looks exactly the way that it should in APA format. And I'm not going to neglect to go in and do times and 12 to change that. And this should be all caps. There you go. I'm going to close out that header. So the body of the paper is set up exactly the way that I want it to look. You'll see it'll show up, and I would go in and do this. But now I have to create the cover page. So the first thing that you want to do, and this becomes very particular, is I want to go and see, you can see here's your insert. A lot of people just want to do a page break. That's not going to work because we're actually changing the formatting elements. So what you do is go to page layout and choose breaks. And from the drop down menu, you want what's called a section break next page. There you go. So now I have an empty page, and the first thing that I have to do is I have to change this header. So I'm going to go in and double click, and I'm going to take out the page number because it shouldn't be on your cover page, and then I'm going to use the word running head. And we're going to take this on over, get it all up here. Oops. It's being a little challenging. We can use our ruler though, because APA says that the word running head should, or the words running head should come just like this at the end or at the beginning of the paper in the title page. But this is not going to show up on the rest of the pages. But if I look right now, it has, and the page number has disappeared. So it's like, oh, that's so frustrating. So go back to your Design tab, and you should go here to Navigation. Go to the second page, which is the first page of your content, and look where it highlights. It says Link to Previous. That's where the section break becomes so important. Section breaks allow us to change the formatting elements from page to page or section to section, but if we don't get rid of this Link to Previous, then we can't have it look different. So I've gotten rid of the Link to Previous, so this should stay like that. And now I'm going to take running head out, and I'm going to go and put those page numbers back in. Page numbers, top of the page to the right, and it's just going to be relationships and online dating. Just like we had before, I'm going to tab it over. I'm going to take and make sure everything is set up the way it should be. And Times New Roman and 12. And notice now it says page 2 because technically our cover page is our first page. All caps. And what we should see is that this has disappeared. We're going to go back and write running head, relationships, and online dating. That's all we want here. We're going to take this part, we're going to make sure it's all in Times New Roman and 12. But remember, this part needs to be in all caps. Okay. So that's what the cover page looks like. And notice that it's different here. Now I've got my page number and the words running head don't show up. And that's exactly, oops, this should not be capitalized, exactly how you change between pages and you have your headers look different. So I'm going to go in and close that out. So now my cover page has the header like it should, running head, colon, relationships and online dating. And this button will become your best friend as you're working. So see, it shows that I've put the section break in. This shows all the spacing and formatting in the document. I'm someone who uses this very often. I don't like to have it up when I'm working. I'm going to move this over because this portion of my paper is not going to be indented. And I'm going to start by putting the title in. So the effects of online, and we'll capitalize it correctly, effects of online dating with current relationships in America. Let's just pretend that that's your title. Now in APA, you want to bring this down 3 or 4 lines. And then we'll come down and you want to put your name. And notice you can use your ruler to see where something's going a little wonky with our spacing. So we can fix that in a minute. Here's my name. And then you put your institutional affiliation, which is Stark State College. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is simply take this, and I just want this to be double spaced. So look, we can go in and take out those extra line breaks. That means that's a paragraph symbol. It means every time I hit the return. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to merely center it. And now what you should have in front of you is a cover page that more accurately reflects what APA looks for. One of the things you can do if you want to center it completely in the page, which is what your book shows you how to do, is you can go to Page Layout and choose the Page Setup function. And here's the pop-out. You have Margins, Paper, Layout. And if you choose Alignment to be Center, okay, it will automatically center this in the middle of the page for you. So this is what your cover page starts to look like. And you just want to double check that none of that formatting has bled down into the rest of your paper. So let's make sure, especially here, Page Layout, that it says Vertical Alignment Top. Okay. And that is how you set up the running head and the cover page for your APA format. And this is also how you use those section breaks to allow you to have content that looks a little different. Remember, you don't want the word running head or the words running head at the top. You want only the actual running head, which is relationships and online dating, and the page number. And if you rely on those section breaks, you can switch up how things look from page to page. And in APA format, that's really important. I highly recommend that you spend a little time with the chapter in your book that works with format. You can also use Purdue University's online writing lab. And of course, our own writing lab has wonderful resources and handouts for you too. I know that you are under a little bit of a time crunch in terms of the format now, so maybe this will help you navigate those sticky situations a little better. If you have any questions, let me know.